Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
Hey there, sinners and saints. It's your favorite Bible-bashing duo from Sacrilegious Discourse, and we need your help.
That's right, folks. We're raising funds for some heavenly equipment and a studio that doesn't sound like it's in the depths of hell.
Our current setup, let's just say it's more apocalypse than audiophile.
So if you want to hear us dissect the Bible without the background noise of demonic squirrels, chip in a few bucks.
We're aiming for $5,000 to upgrade our audio and build a studio worthy of blasphemous banter.
Donate today and help us spread the good word of atheism.
You can find a link right on our homepage, sacrilegiousdiscourse.com. Every dollar counts.
Even if it's from your collection plate. Husband!
Wife!
Guess what we're doing?
We are doing our
Q&A, not on Saturday.
Right.
Some day of the week.
Yes, so this will be releasing on Wednesday
morning.
Yeah, so we kind of got screwed up again, and we do apologize. I know we've been doing that a lot.
We have.
So I don't know what to say other than wife and I have been discussing some options as to what we are going to do going forward.
Rather than keep being behind, let's just go ahead and plan for it.
Right, and we'll be talking about some of those in the coming days. But in the meantime, we're going to kind of slow roll this week to end it. And there'll be a special episode. There'll be our weekly wrap-up still coming out for this portion. But we'll get back to something resembling normal next week.
It'll just be a slightly slower pace.
Slightly.
Yeah,
like
slightly.
One less episode. just to give us some buffer to work with some things.
Yeah.
And we'll explain it all on an upcoming special episode that we have coming out. So
it's just with your work schedule and my injury and medication.
Yeah.
We're not really jiving as far as what we can get
not
done.
with our schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our schedule is definitely throwing us for a loop right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, we really enjoy doing this. We don't want to lose our steam with regard to
no, not at all.
doing our podcast. So we're trying to work around ourselves.
Yes.
And in that vein, we are ready today to do the Q&A, and you got some good questions and answers and things to go over?
Yeah, we're going to be covering chapters Hosea chapters 6 through 10.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, so we are covering Hosea chapters 6 through 11.
10.
That's what I said. Sorry. 6 through 10.
Yeah.
Like, literally just said that. So
right.
I don't know where the 11 came from.
Right.
And I'm going to go through each chapter and say a little something about it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So let's start with chapter 6.
Yeah.
Which was basically about the insincerity of Israel's repentance. If you'll recall, it was basically like they are paying lip service to God, the Israelites are.
Yeah.
And they may come to him, to God, but it's
right.
like half-ass.
Which seemed like pretty much every chapter we read, but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. This chapter contains prophecies, including an exhortation to repentance and a complaint against Israel and Judah for persisting in their wickedness still.
Yeah.
So the first part of that chapter continues the passage that started in the previous chapter, that started in the previous chapter.
Right.
Like mid-sentence even.
Yeah, this book has been bad for that.
Super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that whole thing, that verse that was like basically cut in half, concerns the time of the Syrian Ephraimite War. So the Syrians and Ephraim.
Okay.
Okay. And that was about 735 to 733 BCE.
Is it the Syrians or Assyrians?
Syrians.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's talking about the war and its aftermath. So basically, we're starting at 735 and going through about 731 BCE. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I went ahead and put the last verse of chapter 5, since again we're starting mid-sentence,
Right.
and we're supposed to be covering chapter 6 here.
Right.
So the final verse, actually I started with one verse back even because it captured the idea. So anyway,
Right. Okay.
Chapter 5 verses 8 and 9. Sound the trumpet in Gibeah, the horn in Ramah. Raise the battle cry in Beth Avon. Lead on, Benjamin. Ephraim will be laid waste on the day of reckoning. Okay?
Yeah.
So whereas in chapter 5, Hosea states divine judgment on both Judah and Israel in their strife, like their on and off again wars,
Right.
such that God will send sickness unto death. Sickness unto death.
Got it.
And that's a phrase that we use today. I am sick unto death of this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if
I think
you've
we've
heard
shortened
that.
it to sick to death.
Sick to death, yes, but I have heard people say, I am sick unto death of this.
Right. But I think the common is the sick to death, right? Like that would be that's what it's turned into.
Yeah, that's the common.
Right.
But yeah. So anyway, in verses 1 through 3 of chapter 6, God proclaims the hope of revival if the people are willing to accept his exhortation to repentance, which we know they do not.
Right.
Ever. So verse 1 says, "Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds." And then verse 2 says, "After 2 days he will revive us, and on the third day he will restore us, that we may live in his presence."
And we talked at the time how this sounded very Jesus-y.
It does. And that's because it was borrowed from, or...
You mean the New Testament borrowed from
yes,
this? Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say this was written too old to be borrowed from the New Testament. So
no. The New Testament, in trying to backfill prophecies, they were like, "Ooh, that's a good one. Let's put some Jesus in that."
Right.
Yeah. So, and that was acknowledged in some notes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then verse 3, "Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear."
And that too, even though it's the sun as in the sun.
S-O-N versus S-U-N.
Right.
Yeah, the sun in the sky versus the male child.
Interesting in our terminology today.
Yes.
And I don't know that it was relevant in the original language or anything like that. But it's interesting because of like it's similar to the same verbiage you'll see on church signs now.
Yeah.
You know? Like they equate
like
sun to sun.
The sun shines and the Lord reigns.
Right. Yeah.
Is the one that it comes to mind. There's a church on some road that I used to pass just every single time I would drive over to my best friend's house.
Yeah.
And every day it said that out front. They never changed the sign.
Right.
So that reminds me in that movie, I want to say it was called Zeitgeist or something.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
right,
it's
questionable.
Very questionable conspiracy theory, all kinds of stuff. But one of our...
At the time, it was fun.
Yeah.
Ish.
Like now it's like, oh.
Right.
Because all of that stuff kind of led straight into QAnon territory.
Yeah, and it was interesting, like, there was the same ideas, like it had ideas about, there was conspiracy theories about like money and gods and then like 9/11. And it was just like all kinds of, it was all over the place.
It was all over the place. And I would say that the first 2/3 of the movie were actually really interesting, fascinating, just the way Christianity borrowed from prior religions and practices and stuff.
It really lost us when it got to 9/11. But
yeah, the last third of it was like, okay, I'm out.
Right. Yeah.
But the part that specifically reminded me of that movie is the comparison of the word sun, S-U-N versus S-O-N, male child versus star in the sky. That was discussed heavily in that movie.
Did they discuss? I can't remember if they discussed the original language though.
I don't know.
Because that, again, it was a movie that was very conspiracy theory ridden. So
Yeah.
I don't recall if that was actually a thing or not.
I want to say that probably they did not get into the original
Right.
language, which would render those not homophones.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with no.
Right. Like I said, in today's context, it's interesting to me in that context.
Right. No, I
But
totally
that's about
agree.
it.
All right. And then it continues. He will come to us like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth. Now, that is also in a different translation. It doesn't say the winter rains or the spring rains. It says he will come to us like the rain, like the latter and former rain. So 2 things. First of all, those 3 verses that I just read.
Yeah.
It has been suggested that it's a penitential prayer that may have been borrowed from an atonement ritual.
Okay.
So do you need me to reread those? Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds. After 2 days, he will revive us. And on the 3rd day, he will restore us that we may live in his presence. Let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come to us like the winter rains, like the spring rains that water the earth.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a atonement ritual, apparently.
Got it.
Now, with the thing that I said was 2 different interpretations depending on what translation you're reading.
Yeah.
The latter and the former rain. In Israel, the only way crops were watered was by rain, of course.
Right.
And the first or the former was in the autumn to prepare the earth for seed. And the second rain or latter rain, which, like I said, the verse is like the latter and former rain.
Right.
In spring is when the latter one is to prepare the land for harvest.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
So this section contains some oracles about Israel's political and religious corruption because Israel failed to live according to Yahweh's demand for steadfast love and knowledge of him.
I want to say this again, and I know I hit on this a lot, but the fact that it's even in the apologist takes that you're reading and things like that, the fact that they mention politics is part of that, right?
Yeah.
And it's just very obvious that these things that we talk about in the Bible are definitely things that are political. They're not because if we're talking about all the people of Israel, there's no way to talk about them all. We're talking about the political and power structures that are prevalent in that society at that time because there's nothing else that would really matter.
Exactly.
Right? You're not talking about Joe Schmo next door. You're talking about the people in charge of your lives.
Right.
And they're the ones that are responsible for making these ideas and these laws and rules and in which people don't like or don't follow correctly or don't whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we're really complaining about the power. We're complaining about who's in charge.
Right.
And that's partly what bothers me with regard to how the Bible is worded, because when we're talking about a God who supposedly knows everything, everybody, and how it's all going to work out, right? Mm-hmm. I have a problem with him punishing the people down line,
right,
when we're really talking about the people that are at the top.
Right.
Right. It's like in today's society, if we were to take the actions of the 1% and then punish everybody else for their actions.
Right.
Right. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
And I'm sure if God were real, we would all be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
This is some crap.
Well, not only that, it's lazy.
Right.
It's tantamount to the teacher comes in, 1 or 2 kids are making noise, rather than A, finding out who it is, or B, I know who it is, but I don't want to call them out.
Right.
I'm going to take the lazy way and make the whole class write sentences.
Yeah.
So everybody across the board is punished.
Right.
And I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah.
I used to sit out in the hall so much because I would argue. But I wasn't talking and I sit up front and you see me.
Well, and that's just it, right? I'm like, you're a God. If you can't punish people individually, right? You're no God that's worth a damn.
Exactly.
You're fucking worthless.
Yeah.
And therefore pointless. And you and I know / believe whatever that God is not real, right? And for all intents and purposes, God isn't real. There is no proof. There is no even like hint at proof of God. It's just the Bible.
Yeah.
It's just people's belief in this entity.
And happy feelings. Let's not forget that.
Right,
and coincidences that are framed as miracles.
And toast. Don't forget the toast.
Yeah.
The toast's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't sit well with me, the whole thing.
No, it doesn't me either. So going on to verse 4, the second half of that verse says, your love is like the morning mist, like the early dew that disappears. You remember me going, ha ha ha, doo-doo. God sees that the people's promise to return to him is nothing but words. Their hearts have not changed. They have no covenant loyalty towards God, okay?
Right.
And they have no love for him, and they have no desire to know him. And as long as they are without these qualities, all their sacrifices and offerings are useless. So they're just going through the motions, giving lip service.
Yeah.
And God is so all-knowing, as we just discussed, how all-knowing he is. There's me rolling my eyes. That's a slash sarcasm.
Right.
He knows that they're being fake.
Yeah.
I don't know how he knows that, but not the other stuff.
He doesn't.
No.
There is this is more, again, we're talking about people in society, and we're talking about somebody who is judging their society. So he's saying, I don't like my neighbors and the way they're acting. So this is what I think of them, and this is what God's going to do to them.
Right.
That's all this is.
Yep. I mean, basically, it's the same thing as in colonial England colonial North. What am I trying to say? New England, colonial New England.
Yeah.
The Salem witch trial stuff. It's the same concept. Like, I don't like my neighbor. I feel like they're being freaky do, so I'm going to say they're a witch.
Yeah. It's fear. You're just being a fearful busybody is what you're doing.
Yeah. Just mind your business.
Right.
Like, Tim Walz says, mind your business.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to verse 7, it says, as at Adam, they have broken the covenant. They were unfaithful to me there, but they, like Adam, have transgressed the covenant. So this is making a comparison to early days.
Yeah.
Back in Genesis.
Right.
Because Adam in paradise transgressed the commandment, and God cast him out of the garden.
Sure.
Israel, in possession of the promised land, transgressed God's covenant, and God has cast them out and sent them into captivity.
I do find it interesting that Hosea, in these books, has mentioned Adam and referred to Israel as he.
Yeah.
There is a distinction here in this book, in my mind, with regard to how it is mentioned versus every other book we've read, where everything is female and Eve is the problem.
Yeah.
Like that is a distinction to me with regard to Hosea.
That is true. And we pointed out the calling Israel he and him.
Yeah.
Like, we did call that out, but I hadn't put that together with referring to Adam as the problem and not Eve.
Yeah, no, that's
really interesting. Like, it's a weird place to find him bringing in some equality stuff, because it doesn't really fit.
Well, but it might not even be equality, right? Like, this might be Hosea being like, well, women don't have any responsibility at all.
Right.
And so they couldn't have been responsible for this.
They're so stupid. You can't blame those stupid cows. I mean, they're just couches. They're just tables and chairs.
That's kind of how I would see him.
Okay, got it.
I can't be there to know Hosea's mind, but...
It was less, let's say it was Adam that did it. Like, everybody's always blaming Eve. Let's say Adam did it. It was less that than it was a further insult to womanhood.
Well, and it's also interesting that this book is written a longer time ago than a lot of the books that we're reading.
That is true.
Right? So the idea could have evolved over time. And since this is one of the older books, maybe the original idea was that Adam was the sinful one and not Eve.
Oh, that is.
Eventually the men were like, fuck you, make the woman the one.
The woman yes, she's a dumb bitch, incapable of doing anything because she's so disgusting and nasty. But also, at the same time that she's a stupid moron, she's also a maniacal, conniving, smartest everything, and is able to work against you.
Right.
Kind of like Trump thinks of the Democrats.
Right.
You know, we're both,
we're the worst and dumbest and incapablest people on the planet, but yet we do all the evil things and we are plotting against the whole world.
We're playing 3D chess or whatever.
It's amazing.
Yeah. My ex used to accuse me of that, you know, at the same time that I was like a dumb bitch. I was also always plotting to ruin his life.
I see.
And just doing horrible things.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I was like, I'm both. I'm every woman. Isn't that a song? Yes, by Whitney Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm every woman.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Okay. So moving on to verse 6. Wait, no, chapter 6, verse 11.
Chapter 6, verse 11.
Yeah, sorry. Also for you, Judah, a harvest is appointed whenever I would restore the fortunes of my people. And then moving into chapter 7, verse 1, whenever I would heal Israel, the sins of Ephraim are exposed and the crimes of Samaria revealed.
Okay.
So Judah has also transgressed. So it wasn't just Israel, okay?
Right.
And their harvest will come.
To distinguish between the northern tribes and... We're distinguishing between the northern tribes and Judah at this point.
Yes.
Right? So,
yes.
Because this is the time of kings, somewhat.
Yes.
And so that's when we were talking about the northern kingdoms and Judah is separate. So,
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's saying, you know, I've been dissing Israel so much, but let us not forget that Judah, the southern tribes,
right,
they are also fuck faces.
So basically, Israel's fucked. Judah, take heed.
Yeah, and they
essentially
don't.
What they're saying.
Yeah. Judah is being held to higher standards because they were forewarned.
Right.
Which, fair enough, I guess. Whatever.
Debatable, but okay.
They will be reaped down and sent into captivity. They will reap what they sow. Those who sow the flesh will reap corruption. So, yeah, that's what that was about.
Yep.
Okay, moving into chapter 7 now. Okay.
Yep.
The oven, the bread, and the dove. Do you remember all that? Israel's iniquity and the rebellion.
Only a little bit. I maybe forget this a little bit. But
okay.
We were so all over the place this last couple of weeks that I don't have a clue.
Yeah. So this chapter is about Israel being reproved for multiple sins, resulting in God's wrath against them for their hypocrisy, which, I mean, that could very easily have just been the last chapter that we read.
Yeah.
All these chapters, ever since we stopped talking about Gomer being a whore.
Yeah.
So verse 11, Verse 11 says, also for you, Judah, a harvest is appointed whenever I would restore the fortunes of my people. And then continues into chapter 7, verse 1. Whenever I would heal Israel, the sins of Ephraim are exposed and the crimes of Samaria revealed. Okay. So God is complaining in that second part of the sentence that though he had employed every means for reforming Israel, they still persisted in their iniquity without fearing the consequences. He's like, I tried to tell him.
But he didn't. Though.
No.
He told, again.
We've said this multiple times.
It's the same themes over and over and over again. But you're talking to a few select prophets, and the rest of the people that are also important in these people's lives
are prophets.
Are saying, and they themselves are prophets according to them.
Yeah.
They are saying that they are correct and these things are wrong.
Yeah.
So who are people supposed to believe? God, if you're not talking to everybody, you can't really blame people for not getting your fucking message. Kind
of like today, there's so many different denominations of Christianity. Who could know?
Could you imagine, for example, let's say that we had, we all are aware of the media landscape that's in the world, right?
Sure.
So let's say we had 25 people responsible to disseminate all the information that's coming through on the news to the rest of us.
Yeah.
And we just had to take their word for what was happening.
Those 25 people.
That's bullshit.
Exactly.
That is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening to the Israelites. Yeah. And they're being punished for it. They're being told that they are bad and horrible and that they're going to die. And to be fair, they're not being told, actually.
Right.
It's just happening to them.
Yeah.
According to the Bible.
Right.
And that's what is bullshit. Because if you look at that in the context of what we have to deal with today, it makes no fucking sense.
No.
Why would any entity that is supposedly divine and all powerful have this system in place where you cannot let people get the correct information directly from the source?
Right.
That's dumb.
No, I totally
There
agree.
is no other avenue. The avenue is through the prophet.
Yeah.
They can't even fucking read most of the time.
Right.
And at that time, there wasn't even a Bible. So what were they supposed to do?
They were supposed to have known.
No. Fuck that shit.
No, I don't think so
Yeah,
either.
it's crap.
So verse 3 says, they delight the king with their wickedness, the princes with their lies. We were like, what? This phrase probably refers to one of the successful assassination plots against the throne of Israel during the ministry of Hosea. Since there were 4 kings violently overthrown during his ministry, it's hard to know exactly which one he means.
Got it.
So the Israelites always pleased Jeroboam by coming readily into his ways and heartily joining him in his idolatry. And they professed to be perfectly happy in their change and to be greatly advantaged by their new gods. So they were saying that the religion of the state now was better than that of under Jehovah, Yahweh.
Got it.
And thus they made all their rulers glad with their lies. So
okay,
that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So verse 7 says, all of them are hot as an oven. They devour their rulers. All their kings fall, and none of them calls on me. The death of Jeroboam II was followed by a series of plots. Remember, he had 4 kings killed during his time.
Right.
Okay. So Jeroboam was one of them. The death of Jeroboam was followed by a series of plots, conspiracies, and assassinations, a pitiful slaughter among the idolatrous kings of Israel. And we read about that in 2 Kings. 4 of these kings had fallen during the time of Hosea, the successful assassin in all of these cases, who would then become the king, was pleased with the treacherous deeds of his fellow plotters, even though he himself was not safe from the plotting of others.
Right.
So that's kind of funny.
I mean, and this isn't exclusive to Israel. Like,
no, not at all.
One of the most famous, we all know the Ides of March because, Julius Caesar was stabbed in the back by his own people, like.
Tu Brute.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, like, these types of scenarios in ancient times were pretty fucking familiar. And to be fair, even today, we're still dealing with some of that. We just had, I don't like the guy, but like Trump there was a attempted assassination and
a second
kind of two. Yeah. Like, so, that second one didn't really even get close to completing, but I mean, there were 2 assassination attempts against, a former president, which is, we still have this obsession with power and the need to enact change by taking that person out.
I'm going to say something real quick about it.
Yeah.
What I find really interesting, unless information has come out about the second guy that I have not heard yet, which is totally possible.
Right.
But the last I heard, neither of these guys was like Democrats trying to take out the Democrat rival.
I know the first one was like from what I had heard. And again, I don't want to speak with authority, but he had previously been like kind of pro-Republican and then fell out of, sorts with Trump as opposed like in his like dealings with the world, I guess. So.
No, I don't believe that's correct.
Okay.
And I could be wrong, but it's my understanding that he had started out as a Democrat and had even paid like a $15 like moveon.org toward them.
Okay.
But then became a Republican, but so it was a registered Republican.
Okay.
When he did the assassination attempt.
Right, yeah.
Which everybody was like, what? That's weird.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, he had not, although he was a registered Republican, he had not been active or anything. And what they found on his computer or phone or whatever was that he was looking for a high profile politician. He was looking up all of them, whoever was coming closest to him.
Oh.
Because he wanted to make a name for himself.
Oh.
So it didn't matter who was standing on that stage that day.
Got it.
He wanted to try to kill them for his own sake.
I got it.
Okay. So that's my understanding of what happened. Again, I could have it wrong. With this second guy, I think that he maybe was not it's always a he, isn't it?
Right.
I don't think he was registered either way. I don't know. I think that his was like some kind of, he hasn't been mentally stable, and heard that if Trump becomes president, that it's going to be like the worst thing ever and the world will explode. So that's why he tried, but it was more of a mental illness thing than a Democrat running after a Republican, because I don't know that he was necessarily a Democrat.
Right.
But that's the most that I know of either of those two.
Sure.
And again, I could be misremembering. I could have them both wrong. And also more information could have come out since whatever I just said.
Got it. Yep.
So I see you over there typing.
I was just curious. Like,
I was just curious. While you're doing that, have you come up with any information that either adds to or refutes what I said?
No. I was just looking up to see if there was anything like immediately available about the second guy political affiliation, and I off the top of my head here, I haven't found anything specifically. So
the top of the Googles.
Yeah, the top of the Google's head. So yeah, I don't know. But it is what it is.
Well, that's what I find interesting, though, is neither of them were like, you know what? I'm a hardcore liberal, progressive, lefty left Democrat, and I am going to go fuck some shit up today and kill me a goddamn MAGA Republican.
Right.
Like, that doesn't happen because people who are progressive, Democrat, liberal, leftists aren't really inclined toward violence that way.
Yeah. Actually, this might have been the guy I was thinking of, because his, the second guy, his social media, he described himself as a Trump supporter turned Trump critic.
Oh,
so
okay.
That might have been who I was thinking of.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's the second guy then.
Yep.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Still not a Democrat, though.
Right.
I would say.
No.
That was probably more Christianity based.
He doesn't refer to himself as a Democrat. He refers to himself as a Trump critic. So that's
I would guess
a lot different. Apparently he was once a registered Democrat in North Carolina, but that was 2 decades ago. So anybody who has followed politics for 2 decades knows that means something
way different.
Yeah.
And even at that, a Republican in North Carolina, or a Democrat in North Carolina, I should say, is not the same as a Democrat in less red state.
Yeah. Yep.
The reddest state Democrat is still going to be so far right of any like other Democrat on like one of your coasts.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
So I would say his assassination attempt was more probably Christianity and ideology based.
Well, so again, and this is it's coming back to me a little bit as to what I did know. I think he had some tentative plans or want or wish to go fight in Ukraine against Russia.
Yes, I do remember that.
Which would lead me to believe that he was not for the stances that Trump took against Ukraine.
So
that was
gonna just go kill him.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
You fuck.
Well, I mean, Trump was going to, basically hand Ukraine over to Russia, or would and will if he ever became president. So
again,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that makes perfect sense. I always go out and murder people that are blowing up the world.
Nope.
Right? Yeah.
Do not recommend.
Do not. So, okay, to go over those 4 kings that were each assassinated during Hosehead's lifetime.
Yeah.
Zechariah was slain by Shallum. Shallum was slain by Menahem. Menahem was assassinated by Pekaniah, who was slain by Pekah. And Pekah was slain by Hosea.
Got it. Yeah.
And that was all in 2 Kings.
Okay. All right.
And all were idolaters and all came to an untimely death. I mean, as assassination does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So verse 8 goes on to say, Ephraim mixes with the nations. Ephraim is a flat loaf not turned over.
Oh.
Ephraim is a cake unturned is another translation.
Got it.
So the idea is of a half-baked cake. Okay. And where that comes from is this. In those days, bread was often prepared as a cake that was cooked on both sides, something like a pancake. Having heated the hearth, they sweep one corner, put the cake upon it, and cover it with embers. In a short time, they'll turn it over, cover it again, and continue this several times in a row till they find it sufficiently baked.
Okay.
In thinking the people can serve both God and the idols of other nations.
Yeah.
Israel is like an unturned pancake, burnt on one side, uncooked on the other.
Got it.
So that's what they meant by a half-baked cake, or a cake unturned, or a flat loaf not turned over.
See, now I feel like they would be thinking that they're like a completely turned cake. They're like, I'm taking advice from all these gods, here, just turn me over a million times.
Sure.
Whatever. We'll go over this one today, that one tomorrow. I got all the gods. Look at this.
I'm so baked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Verse 9 says, foreigners sap his strength, but he does not realize it. His hair is sprinkled with gray, but he does not notice. Remember that? And we were like, the fuck is this?
Right.
Like,
I'm assuming it's talking about influences from like other cultures, like the Egyptians and Assyrians and stuff like that.
Yes and no. It's that he's doing all of these bad behaviors that he's getting from other neighbors, but he doesn't notice how he's acting. So
he being Israel.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So it's comparing a man who's like super old, has gray hair, he's all grizzled, right? But he's still acting like a young shot,
Sure.
like talking about those glory football days.
Right.
Right. So not realizing, acting a way that is not true to who he actually is.
Got it.
Is what that is about.
Got it.
Okay, verse 11 says, Ephraim is like a dove, easily deceived and senseless, now calling to Egypt, now turning to Assyria.
And that's why I was saying what I said, because I remember that being part of that chapter, was that they were talking about Egypt and Assyria. And when what was the bit before where they were saying that they were easily swayed or something, or they were taking too much influence from something or other, or whatever.
Foreigners sap his strength.
Yeah, foreigners sap his strength. So and then they move on directly to talk about Assyria and Egypt, which is why I said what I said, because I feel like that was part of it too.
Got it. Well, another way that is translated in other versions, Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart.
Those damn silly doves.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I found this part very interesting. Because here's the thing. I don't know a lot about doves, except they're supposed to be the bird of peace.
Right.
And that they carry an olive branch to offer that peace. And that comes directly from that whole Noah's Ark thing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. A dove is a bird that has very little understanding. It's easily snared and taken. It's careless about its own young. And it seems to live without any kind of thought. So it's a dumb bird. I didn't know. It has been made by those who, like itself, are without heart, the symbol of conjugal affection. So all they care about is fucking, not taking care of anything else, much like what Israel is doing right now, right?
Right.
I mean, not right now today, right now in the Bible.
In the Bible.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yep.
Nothing worse could have been chosen, for the dove and its mate are continually quarreling. So that's just like, I had no idea about these birds that are just the birds of peace.
Sure.
So anyway, they strive to make Egypt and Assyria their allies and friends. Like, they keep going back and forth. Remember, we talked about this when we were reading way back, how they're just in the middle.
Right. Well, then that was actually later on. This is before that.
Yes.
It's constantly been a struggle. It's constantly been a political turmoil. They're in the middle of all these major powers, and that's why a lot of shit happened here, because they were in the middle of it all.
Yes.
That's all.
Because they lived in a good place.
Well,
resource-wise.
Yes, and they lived in the middle of a bunch of other shit.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, everybody wanted that area of the world because that area had like fertile crescent, the whole like nice valleys and water and whatnot, Canaan, the land of honey, right?
Right.
Like, it was good land, so everybody wanted it.
Right.
And so they all fought over it. The end. That's the whole story.
Yeah.
So when they're specifically going between Egypt and Assyria, they're kind of their allies. They're like frenemies. But this showed that, like the doves, they were without heart and had no understanding, for those two, Egypt and Assyria, were rival nations, and Israel could not attach itself to one without incurring the jealousy and displeasure of the other. So thus, like the silly dove, they were constantly falling into snares, sometimes of the Egyptians and at other times of the Assyrians. By the former, they were betrayed, and by the latter, they were ruined.
Got it.
So,
Yep.
found that interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to chapter 8.
Okay.
Sow the wind, reap the whirlwind, the rebuke of Israel's idolatry. Do you remember that?
I do.
I love that. Sow the wind, reap the whirlwind.
Right.
I love it. So this chapter contains prophecies about the impending destruction of Israel and Judah for their impiety and idolatry. And it's like, does it? Because I thought we just read that some more.
Again.
The chapter begins with threatening some hostile invasion in short and broken sentences full of rapidity. Ba 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 ba.
Right.
Ba ba boom boom. And expressive of sudden danger and alarm due to their hypocrisy, iniquity, treason, and idolatry, particularly the worshipping of the calves of Dan and Bethel. Boom, boom, boom. The people of Israel claim to know God, but they have broken their covenant with him and sinned against his law. Did they? Oh, no.
Yeah.
I never knew that always, the whole book. God will use the Assyrian army, here symbolized by an eagle, to bring his punishment upon them. Their kings are not people appointed by God, but traitors who murder to gain power. The center of their religion is not Yahweh God, but the golden calves set up as idols in their cities.
Which is also Yahweh to them.
Yes, exactly.
From what we did research on earlier
Yeah.
when we were reading through stuff.
Yeah, so that bears repeating every time this comes up.
It does. It does.
So verse 7 says, they sow the wind and reap the whirlwind. The stalk has no head. It will produce no flour. Were it to yield grain, foreigners would swallow it up. So this is considered a proverb which states that works have rewards and actions have consequences, especially that people may face negative consequences for their bad actions.
Sure.
Reap what you motherfucking sow.
Right,
You know?
right.
We all know that one.
Yep.
So moving on to chapter 9, this is about being exiled and dried up. Okay?
Yep.
The punishments to fit the sins, the punishment for Israel's persistent unfaithfulness, blah, 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 blah. Like, no kidding. It just goes on and on about it.
Right.
Okay? This chapter contains prophecies about the distress and captivity of Israel for her sins. Oh, her sins. No, she's a girl again.
Right.
Especially for committing idolatry. And so we're coming to a place where the end of the good life in Israel is coming.
Sure.
Okay?
I mean, it seems like that's always the case. but whatever.
They're about to get it. They're
Yeah.
always about to get it.
Yeah.
They're like 2 seconds from getting it.
Right.
Baal worship and its accompanying immoral rituals were aimed at increasing the produce from farms and vineyards. As a punishment, God will destroy the farms and vineyards and send the people into captivity.
That'll teach people. You know,
Yeah.
we want more farm production, and we're going to try to fix it by doing this. And then instead, the person that we're supposed to be worshiping, that we don't know we're supposed to be worshiping, he's gonna ruin all that, and then
Yeah.
we're supposed to worship him.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any
Don't you
fucking
always
sense.
worship the ones
No.
that fuck you up?
No.
Right?
No.
No, me neither. Me neither. They will be forced to eat food that to them is unclean
Not
when
that.
they are sent into captivity.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so sad.
Yep.
They will not be able to offer the usual food and wine offerings once they're in captivity.
Yeah, it's horrible.
In fact, they will barely have enough to keep themselves alive.
Right.
So
So I guess they're going to be very happy that they have that unclean food from these other people that have other gods.
Yeah.
And gracious that these people are helping them sustain their life.
right.
And yet God is the one that's letting them go over there to wither and die.
Yeah, and then he's like, "How dare you eat that food?" Like,
Right?
what?
Yeah.
What?
Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. So then we get into the days of Israel's punishment in Egypt. So meanwhile, while this is happening, the land in which they once lived will become wild again through neglect.
Okay.
The people do not like Hosea's denunciations and warnings,
Of
obviously.
course, they never do. No one likes the naysayers, right?
No, of course not.
It's a thing. People say, "Don't kill the messenger." You know,
Yeah.
like people don't like it when you bring bad news,
Right.
Right, and moreover, why the fuck would they believe you?
Yeah.
I don't understand what your standing is that makes you more authoritative than somebody else.
Now, see, here's where a Christian or a Republican or both or whatever might say, yeah, but Democrats are always doom and glooming and naysaying about the end of the world because we're melting it, or it's too hot, or it's going to flood. What is it now? Oh, the world's on fire,
right.
Climate change, blah, blah, blah. Then they would say, you're telling us that you shouldn't believe the naysayers or don't shoot the messenger, but you guys are being doomsday sayers.
No, I'm saying this person doesn't have any facts to back them up. At least we have facts to back this up.
Totally.
And moreover, I kind of agree that we should probably be more positive with action that we're going to take, as opposed to always talking about the shitty things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying we don't need to address those, but our public front should be, hey, just, we all know this is the thing, but this is what we're going to do positively to enact change.
Yeah.
We should talk more about that change and how it's going to influence jobs and do all these other, like, it should snowball into a fucking just branched out, you know, chart of everything's going to be awesome by the time we're done.
Yeah.
Right? That should be the message, not this sucks, we need to fix it.
We need a new deal.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, we need to see what the end result will be when we're done with our plan.
Yeah.
And right now we're just reacting to shitty things that are happening.
I mean, to be fair, like, the world's on fire and we're running around trying to put the fires out, and there's not been a lot of time to, like, just sit down and make a plan.
But we need to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So the people, like I said, do not like Hosea's denunciations and warnings. He is God's messenger to them, the nation's watchman. Remember, we talked about watchmen.
Right.
But they call him a fool and a madman, and they even plot to kill him.
Yeah.
Womp, womp, womp. So Israel is barren and dried up in judgment. And God is then introduced, declaring his early favor for his people and the delight he took in their obedience. He's like, remember when I used to love you? And they're like, no.
Not really. No.
Yeah. But now the people had so deeply revolted, all their glory will take wing. God will forsake them, and their offspring will be devoted to destruction. Womp, womp.
Okay.
So God sends barrenness and bereavement. Yay! When God brought the people of Israel out of Egypt and led them through the wilderness, his desire was that they enter a new era of fruitfulness. But before they reached the promised land even, they had turned to Baalism and its immorality.
Got it.
So, you know.
I feel like God wasn't holding up his end of the bargain.
He never does.
That's, you know.
Such unfaithfulness has characterized the people ever since then. Like, from day one, they've been fuck-ups.
Yeah.
They practice sexual rites, hoping that their families will increase. So God's punishment, accordingly, will cause their families to decrease. Because of their Baal practices, they will be fruitless instead of fruitful. They will go into shameful captivity in a foreign land. Boom. Okay? Yeah. So, chapter 10 now. We're closing in on the end.
Yep.
Israel has no king. What? The punishment for Israel's persistent unfaithfulness continued, reaping what they have motherfucking sown. Okay.
Yep.
This last chapter here contains prophecies dated to the period between Shalmaneser V's first and second invasions of Israel. And I was like, sorry, what's a Shalmaneser? So this chapter contains prophecies dated to the period between Shalmaneser V's first and second invasions of Israel. And I was like, what the fuck is a Shalmaneser?
Right.
Much less 5 of them, right? Yeah. So here's who he was. He was the king of the Neo-Assyrian Empire from the death of his father Tiglath-Pileser III in 727 BCE to his deposition and death in 722 BCE. So he ruled about 5 years. Shalmaneser V's brief reign is poorly known from contemporary sources, but is renowned for the conquest of Samaria and the fall of the kingdom of Israel. Who knew?
Yeah.
Though the conclusion of that campaign is sometimes attributed to his successor, Sargon. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks. Lost his credit.
Yeah. I mean, I never heard of the dude, but I've heard of Sargon. Israel is reproved and threatened for its impiety and idolatry, some more, and exhorted to repentance, some more.
Right.
So then we talk more about what this chapter deals with, which is more of the same. It's more of the same. It's the same more.
It's the same.
Yeah. It begins with comparing Israel to a fruitful vine that is corrupted by too much prosperity. That always happens to me. And then it next reproves and threatens them for their idolatry, anarchy, and breach of covenant. I feel like I keep reading the same sentences over and over.
We are.
Their idolatry is then enlarged upon and its fatal consequences declared in terms of sublimity and pathos, darkness. Okay, so verse 8 says, the high places of wickedness will be destroyed. It is the sin of Israel. Thorns and thistles will grow up and cover their altars. Then they will say to the mountains, cover us, and to the hills, fall on us. And we were like, what the fuck does that all mean? Do you remember?
Yep.
So this is saying that no one can be trusted. Injustice, like a poisonous plant, is having a deadly effect. It is killing the nation. The people do not fear God, and as a result will fall under his judgment. They, along with their king and the golden calf that they worship, will be carried off to Assyria. The land will be ruined, and the Baal altars will become overgrown with weeds. Okay. So then we move on, and God is introduced complaining of their excessive guilt and threatening them with captivity in terms that bear a manifest allusion to their favorite idolatry, the worshiping of the similitude of a calf or heifer. Okay. And then so we move on to verse 11. Ephraim is a trained heifer that loves to thresh. So I will put a yoke on her fair neck. I will drive Ephraim. Judah must plow and Jacob must break up the ground.
Yeah, we definitely had a question about that.
Yeah, like what even is all that?
Right.
Okay. So Ephraim is thoroughly broken into and goes along peaceably in the yoke.
Okay.
Is what this is all about.
Got it.
So she doesn't mind. She's fine. Okay.
All right.
She is pleased and thus eats the corn. But she will not only tread out the corn, she will also draw the plow and drag the harrow so that there may be seed for the fields. Israel very frequently asked for stuff from Judah. So they leaned on Judah a lot.
Right.
And as Israel loved to, quote, tread out the corn and not the plow, so they didn't mind eating what was cooked, but they didn't want to do the work.
Okay.
Therefore, now he will be made to plow. He's going to have to work.
Got it.
Which is to say, he will be put under the yoke of the Assyrians. Okay.
Yep.
So Judah and Jacob shall plow for themselves means that Judah should no longer plow for Israel, but for himself, and Israel shall no more make requests on him or demands, and you got to do your own shit.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
So that apparently is what that meant.
Okay.
So that pretty much sums up those 5 chapters and answers the few questions that we had.
All right. Yeah, it was very repetitive. It was very much the same thing all the way through. And yeah, that God sucks.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I think that he gave me a runny nose and a cold. So if you heard me sniffling throughout, I apologize. We're going to try to edit some of that out. Some might get through though. So apologies. And I think that's it.
Yep. So that was our Q&A for today.
Yes, it was.
I will be getting the weekly wrap up out here for tomorrow. And then we're going to do a special episode. Yeah. And we'll explain a little bit more about what our upcoming weeks will look like from there going forward.
And that will be in our live episode.
Yeah, that'll be our live episode which we'll be doing Wednesday night at 10 p.m. on Discord.
10 p.m. Eastern on Discord.
Yep. And there's always a link in the show notes. So definitely check that out and join us there.
Yep.
And then we'll see you guys then.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.